Hello, Internet. I'm Hugo. Just gonna. Okay. All right. You're gonna top. Okay, and then that is gone now. All right.
And I'm refreshed.
And this is Unpopular Culture, the only show that was kidnapping kids and taking them on magical field trips before it was cool. Today we have quite a few things to go over, some of them actually from last week's episode, which you didn't see because files were lost, so we get to talk about things twice. We're real practiced in it now.
I lost my audio file, and somewhere on my computer, it'll show up.
Yeah.
I know it will.
Probably.
It's going to be super weird.
Yeah. And today we're talking about, firstly, Doctor Who news. Peter Capaldi leaving after this season makes us very sad, but we already talked about it once, so now we're just stern and angry about it. There's a bunch of DC Extended Universe news. Bad news for fans of Ben Affleck's Batman.
Bad news for WB. Bad news for Ben Affleck's family. I guess good news for his divorced wife, if she likes to wish ill on him.
Real good news for Marvel and Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah. Magic School Bus coming back, and we have the casting of Miss Frizzle, which honestly I wouldn't have thought. You know, I liked Magic School Bus as a kid, but I would have been like, does it really matter who Miss Frizzle is? It does, because they got actually a really good cast for it. Iron Fist trailer came out, the last of the individual Defenders series before the Defenders team up. We'll talk about that. Mm-hmm. Some other Danny Rand shit. And then finally, Stranger Things, the teaser for that premiered during the... I've heard there was some sort of game or something. I guess Lady Gaga was there. I don't know. But I guess it was very important, and they played the teaser for that during that at some point.
Indeed. But first, if you want to know where that beer started, make sure to watch my ongoing Let's Play series on Pillars of Eternity, which is a lot of fun. We got a midget named Phosphorico. I put a pimp hat on him in this episode. So, like, do it.
So, firstly, Peter Capaldi, who happens to be, maybe at this point, my favorite New Who Doctor. I always draw that division between Classic Who and New Who, because they're basically different shows entirely, so I feel like it makes sense to cut them. Probably my favorite. After this season, which will be his third full series of Doctor Who, he will be leaving. And
That's pretty standard.
It's pretty standard. It's also going to be along with Moffat, who's leaving as showrunner, and a lot of I assume it'll be a changeover similar to when Russell T Davies left, and they switched up with Moffat and Matt Smith. You know, there's a big old change-up happening. But
he's such a good actor, and we've talked about this before. We wish he had better writing, but if it's going to end, and let's do a changeover. Let's have it. I think if he would have gotten one go around with the writer, an actual writing room, which is what this next guy is gonna have, that would have gone really well, because he's easily the best actor to portray the Doctor probably ever. But I think it's actually good for Doctor Who. Well, Capaldi fans in general might be a little disappointed. I think they're really. Calling it a soft reboot is still too strong, because it's definitely continuation. But the Matt Smith thing was a soft reboot. Yeah. Like a really gentle baby butt reboot. And it was fantastic. They needed it, for sure. So maybe this will be another thing.
Series 5, when Moffat came on as showrunner, and he wasn't just a writer anymore, and they brought in Matt Smith, and like you said, the soft reboot. It was great for the show. It helped expand its popularity in America and across the world, for that matter, sure. Because obviously, while it's huge in the UK, other markets are just bigger and aren't islands. So,
yeah.
So I'm hoping with the new guy coming on, and I forget his name, like Chris Chinbull. I could be pronouncing that wrong. I don't know.
Is it Churnbull?
I don't know. This is going to be a similar situation to where when they first announced Capaldi, and we kept pronouncing it wrong and didn't know his name, and now we know it entirely.
Capaldi. It was Capaldi, right? We kept saying that.
I don't know. But anyway, the point is that I'm sure we'll be very familiar with him eventually, but he's behind Broadchurch, which is a very excellent show, so I've heard. I haven't watched it, but Jake keeps telling me to watch it. So
yeah. And by the way, that had David Tennant in it, and he really brings the acting chops out. If you liked him in Jessica Jones, which you should have, you'll really like him in Broadchurch. It's very much, he's not the bad guy or anything, but it's still dark. It revolves around a child's murder, so it's not like this, haha, we have clever japes and I'm charming and we're running through the fucking time in my sneakers.
You know what?
So
The fact that this guy was in charge of Broadchurch, you know why that excites me? Because Broadchurch is a mystery show that by definition has a solid series arc, because that's what a mystery is, which makes me think he's going to be competent at writing Doctor Who in an arc, which that was his weakness. Moffat's strengths have been individual episodes that are very self-contained, where he has to restrain himself.
Or just characters.
Sure.
The characters that he sometimes... Like, Strax is a good character, but you beat him to death, and suddenly we're like, please don't show us Strax anymore. Or Daleks, or River Song, although River Song's ending was fantastic. Clara is a really good example. She actually started weak and got stronger by the end of her character arc. I thought it was okay, but the Christmas special where she should have ended was fantastic, but nothing leading up to it was very fantastic. So we're like, yeah, she's dead. And then they brought her back. So yeah, I'm really hoping there's more clarity and focus on the arc in this next one, because if you focus on the arc, it's really easy, and I say easy with a grain of salt because I can't do the job, but it's easy to make a Monster of the Week show. It's not easy to make a Monster of the Week show with an arc.
Sure. So that's what bums me out about Capaldi leaving, because I would have liked him to be on during with a stronger writer, because I think if you look at, and give credit to Moffat, one of Capaldi's best episodes was one written by him, and that's Heaven Sent, where it's the one where he's basically in that, I'm not going to spoil it, castle by himself the whole episode. He's a good actor, he can carry the character, it's just holy crap, he's given crap a lot of the time. Sometimes he has to fight eye booger monsters, and that's unfortunate. So, I don't know. Doctor Who really, in order to sustain itself, if it wants to continue for another 5 to 10 years and not just fizzle out unceremoniously, it needs a change up. And while I am sad Capaldi's leaving, I'm glad someone new will be coming on, both in front of the camera and behind it, because the show needs a shot in the arm real hard. The past couple seasons, well, I did like the last season, the Moffatisms are getting out of control, and he needs to leave.
So I have a question for you.
Okay.
What do you think the new Doctor should be? Now, there's the common joke that he wants to be a ginger, because if you're not aware of what Doctor Who is, when he dies, he regenerates, and that's how they bring new actors in. He regenerates into a new body where he has a new personality and memories of his past life, but he's definitely a different person, if that makes sense. It makes sense once you see it for a minute, but a lot of people are thinking they need to go young again, but they kind of just came off the 2 young Doctors. Some people are thinking maybe a woman would be a good change up. Where do you think it should go?
I'm thinking a couple things. Firstly, I'm afraid the BBC afraid of lower ratings, because the seasons have been getting lower ratings since Matt Smith left. At the end of the day, whether you like it or not, whether you love Capaldi or hate him, whatever your opinion, a part of the Doctor Who fan base is teenage girls on Tumblr who wanted to fuck Matt Smith and David Tennant. But that aside, I'm afraid the BBC is going to try and cater too hard to that audience and go super young and quirky again, which is fine every once in a while. The Doctor can be basically whatever. I really enjoy Matt Smith and David Tennant for what they do with the character, but I don't want that all the time. That's very much not what the Doctor is all the time. Sometimes he's that, sometimes he's really grumpy. So I'm hoping we get somewhere in the middle. I don't want super young, but I don't want super old either, because Capaldi was the oldest Doctor ever. So somewhere in the middle-aged, maybe closer to the 9th Doctor's age, or at least how he looks.
Is there an English Robert Downey Jr.?
Like, so, what do you mean? Do you mean someone who's like, who went down the shitter and needs a comeback? You mean, or do you just mean
no? I don't mean that they're currently addicted to cocaine and need a role to save their life. No, I mean like can pull off that kind of machismo Tony Stark's act. I think that would go pretty well with the Doctor. Sure. Because they haven't had a cocky, self-absorbed, like Tennant was as close as you got to self-absorbed, and he was just vain. He was still selfless in the end. I don't think, like, I think if you went full sort of dick mode with clever japes and funny jokes and like really quick-witted, I think that could be fun, and then you could soften him over time and kind of have your arc continue. Because he lost Clara, he lost River Song, he might lose Bill. I don't know what the new companion's arc is going to be like, but he seems to be losing a lot of people to actual death for the first time in a long time. Since when's the last time he lost a companion to death before? Because I knew who it hadn't happened.
Adric, I want to say, who people hated anyway. So that was kind of
There was a tiny joke in New Vegas about Adric, right?
Yeah, no, it was in a mod called Who Vegas, which I have, which we played. I think I accidentally had it still installed, or at least parts of it, when we were doing that Kenneth playthrough, so that someone noticed it, where there was a homeless guy with Adric's outfit on, basically.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, he's the first Doctor to have to really been losing stuff. So if he was like, you know, Tony Stark doesn't really form bonds. I mean, he does now, but early Tony Stark was hard to form bonds with. He was kind of distant. You know, I think that'd be a good approach to take the next Doctor, because usually how the regenerations work, it's a response to the stimulus from his life before.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Sure. So, overall, I don't know. As far as woman Doctor, as long as Moffat's not writing, I'm fine. Moffat is bad at writing women and lesbians. so I'm
100% I agree.
Missy's a fun character. I'm glad I don't have a problem with the fact that Time Lords apparently can, go between men and women, between regenerations. I don't care. I don't mind the Doctor being a woman. The only issue is, under the wrong writer, half the jokes in every episode become, I have a vagina now, I have boobs, I'm a woman. Like, you get it? And there are people who have complained, like, well, when he goes back in time, it won't make sense because people didn't respect women in the past. Okay, Martha was a companion. You know what I mean? Like, they kind of sidestep that kind of thing a lot. With half the companions going into the past, people would think they're like whores because of how they dress. And like I said, Martha was black, which wouldn't have flown in a lot of places at the time. So it is what it is. I don't mind if they hand wave away, okay, the Doctor's a woman, people in the past don't mind for whatever bullshit reason, who cares? As long as it's still the Doctor that happens to be a woman and not, look, it's the Doctor, but with tits. Like, whatever. What I want, my only wish is to get the writers and the showrunner to have the best person for the role that they find, and that's it. Because I'm not that person. I'm not a person who writes and can envision things very well. So I would hope, whatever they do, they find someone to do it competently, and that's the best you can kind of hope for with this kind of show. But yeah, I'm glad it's getting sort of another soft reboot, because yeah, Moffat's been on for, let's see, he's been at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is this going to be his 6th season? Wait, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is this series 10? I think he's been on for longer than 6 years, because there's been years between series before. He's been on too long. The show, Doctor Who, has always needed change to continue to make it working. For instance, after the 4th Doctor, who was the longest running Doctor ever, 7 years, after it switched to the 5th Doctor, the ratings dropped because people got too used to the 4th Doctor.
Well, that's kind of what happened. That's what happened with Capaldi, though. People were like, oh, Matt Smith's the Doctor because it was a soft reboot. So the same thing will happen with the next guy. The ratings will go up if they cast it correctly and write it correctly. Especially with the new writers and stuff. They'll probably tap into the, Moffat's clearly, he's outdated. And I don't mean that in like as disrespectful as it sounds, but he writes like he's writing in the early 2000s. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, he also writes like fan fiction.
Yeah, it's there. Anyway, so that's probably enough on Doctor Who, but as you can tell by the hat, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
So is Hugo.
In the comments, I'm curious. Let us know if you're a Doctor Who fan. If you're not, sorry. Sorry for wasting your time on that. But if you are a fan, please let us know. What do you want the next Doctor to be like? Do you have anyone in mind? I don't know that many British television actors. I can name film actors, but obviously they're not going to get involved. So
I saw some Rupert Grint rumors.
You know what?
Little Ron Weasley. That might actually be okay because he is a ginger and he is funny.
Can he act though? Really? I mean, I get it.
I've seen him in other stuff.
Okay,
I've seen him in other stuff. He's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I don't. It'd be weird because he's Ron Weasley, so that's why I don't think they'd go in that direction because he's so iconically Ron Weasley. Like that's kind of why can't I think of Harry Potter's actual name?
Daniel Radcliffe.
Radcliffe, yeah. Like he can't play other things really because he's still Harry Potter.
You know what though? Radcliffe can actually act pretty well. I've seen him in a couple things since then. He's good in Swiss Army Man, surprisingly, for being a farting corpse. Go see Swiss Army Man, everyone. It's actually, surprisingly, it's a good movie.
Now we go on to DC. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. So Ben Affleck stepped down as director. We thought, okay, that's fine. Too many jobs for one guy can be a lot of things. And then he stepped down. He's not writing as much anymore. He's done writing. He had some of his script revised and stuff, and that's okay. So he was just focusing mostly on the acting. He had some input in the script. Jeff Johns was writing it, who is the comic book guy. And now, all of it's scrapped altogether except for basically Ben Affleck's role.
Yeah. I don't... Again, at first I thought, genuinely, because that's what Ben Affleck said, generally I'll take people at their word if depending on who they are. If you're an untrustworthy person, I won't. But, Ben Affleck, he said, it's just too many hats for one guy. I need to be playing Batman. I need to be working on that. I don't want to be directing in a bat suit, basically. Yep. Which, fine, that's reasonable. I could see that being an actual concern. But the fact that, like, a week after he said that, Warner Brothers is saying we're scrapping the entire script and starting from scratch, probably with fucking David Goyer or some stupid shit, it tells me... I'm guessing Ben Affleck and Johns were probably butting heads with the Warner Brothers people, because if we've seen anything from these Warner Brothers movies recently, the DC ones, they want to micromanage the fuck out of it. And, people talk about Marvel, and people, what's funny is whenever people call us Marvel fanboys, they're like, you fucking, no. They're Marvel movies that I don't like that much. There are problems with plenty of the Marvel movies. But the thing is, they've proven they can consistently put out at least entertaining movies. DC hasn't done that. Marvel has a deft hand in that, yes, they absolutely churn out just products. They're not films as much as they are products, but they know when to micromanage and when to step back and let the people do what they need to do. Warner Brothers, on the other hand, doesn't know when to step back. It's constant micromanaging, and you can see that in Batman v Superman. You can see that a lot more in Suicide Squad, and I'm guessing we're going to see it in Wonder Woman 2 when that finally comes out. I don't understand. Do they just... I would love to be a fly on the wall in any of the Warner Brothers meetings about these movies and the universe and see where they're at right now, because you had people working on the project, your tentpole, Batman, the one character will print money, apparently, unless Snyder's involved and you staple Superman to it. And you had people who care about the character writing it, acting in it, directing it, and you said, no, we know better. Even though we made fucking Green Lantern, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Suicide Squad, all of which got pretty panned. I think Man of Steel got the best reviews out of all those. They're saying, no, we know better, even though we've made like 4 shitty superhero movies in a row. What are they doing? What are they doing? I'm not rhetorical. Seriously, I don't understand. Is it just someone up top that's so bullheaded? They're like, no, I know best. I don't care. They're wrong. Are they just doing that? Or are they just so in there, I'm the head of a studio, that they don't hear how much people hate these movies? They just see the sheets and say, okay, Batman v Superman made $800 million. That's pretty good. Without realizing it's Batman v Superman. It should have easily broken $1 billion. You know what made more money in the United States than Batman v Superman? Deadpool, a character that almost no one knew existed except for comic book fans until the movie. It's fucked. What are you guys doing? God.
There's no reason Deadpool, even though Deadpool's a super cool character, there is no reason Deadpool should ever be Batman.
No.
Ever.
Or
and that's just the facts of it.
Literally, the first time... Look, hold on, I have this literally fucking right here. The invention of the goddamn comic book superhero, right there, this guy right here, was in a movie with fucking Batman, and they were fighting, and word of mouth was so bad, it killed it. And sure, $800 million. That's not how much money they wanted to make with that movie, and you know it. You know, with the budget and the advertising that went into that. Do you guys remember how much advertising there was for that?
They had a whole website, and they ran ads on YouTube that was like a fake news organization building up to the moment. It was just so jumbled. Now, I will say the Ultimate Edition was better than the theatrical release, but it wasn't better than Deadpool.
I'm telling you,
wasn't.
I'll tell you right now, if someone was like, and again, people are going to keep calling it Marvel fanboy, if someone's like, hey, do you want to watch Thor the Dark World, or do you want to watch Batman versus Superman? I'd be like, Thor the Dark World, I guess. Which is probably one of Marvel's worst movies, but I'd rather watch that than Batman fighting Superman. Think about that. Yeah,
no, I disagree with you on that one, but there's the list of Marvel movies that I would not choose over that. is like 1, and that's the one, maybe 2. I really don't like Iron Man 3.
Okay,
but
I get that, but
other than that, like, I don't know, man. It's just, it seems fucked, and it makes me sad because like, easily the best on-screen Batman, easily the best on-screen Bruce Wayne, easily the best on-screen Alfred, and frankly, the way that Superman fights is interesting and true to character. Wonder Woman looked cool. She looked like Wonder Woman in the fight, and I don't know, it had some stuff going on, man. It's just gonna get shit.
Yeah.
They need to stop and reboot it and let Ben Affleck and Jeff Johns be in charge and take over, and Warner Brothers has to step the fuck back and let it happen.
The thing about this
There's no reason to add shit to it.
They announced Johns coming on as a creative. I don't know what the official title is, but it was like after Batman v Superman got really bad reviews is when they said, okay, we're bringing Johns on. He's going to be our Kevin Feige, basically, or however you pronounce that guy's name, who is the guy, basically, who's the head of Marvel movies.
He keeps it all in the same universe,
right? He basically
thematically
says, like, when he hires a director or a writer, I assume he probably sits down with them, or if he interviews people, I don't know what the process is. I assume he says, "Listen, here's our plan 5 years out. Here's where the universe needs to go. Here's what you need to cover in this story. Here's the basic outline, and here's things you can and can't do with the character." I would assume, just to make sure they're
right.
Other than that, I assume he lets them do whatever. Like the Guardians of the Galaxy director. Forget his name. James Gunn.
That has a clear style to it.
Sure.
And couple that with like Ant-Man, which has like 3 locations in the whole movie because their budget was lower. That has a clear difference to a Guardians of the Galaxy and, say, the Avengers or Captain America movie. But none of them feel like there isn't a connecting bridge.
Right. But I'm just saying
that's important.
That's what Feige does. He keeps the universe one,
right.
And he's a big role in Marvel Studios. I mean, he has a day-to-day job. I mean, that's a hard job. Now, when Batman v Superman had poor word of mouth and Warner Brothers brought on Johns, I don't think he's doing that much. I think Warner Brothers said, "Oh shit, they're shitting on us. We need to get a press release out saying we're going to put Johns on stuff." But I don't think he has as much control as people think he has at all. I think he's getting slapped down.
I had so much hope, dude, and it's getting killed.
Yeah, but, I don't know. I'm going to wait to see if Wonder Woman... also, by the way, Flash is getting a page 1 rewrite as well. Batman v Superman is now... Or not Batman v Superman, sorry. The Batman, or whatever they title it, is now slated for 2019. And the Flash is TBD because they're doing a page 1 rewrite. Which it was supposed to start shooting in a couple months. But now, I mean, that's obviously not going to happen. I feel so bad for so many of these actors. Ben Affleck deserved so much better. The guy that got to play the Flash, I forget his name. He was in
Ezra Miller.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I would like to see him do well as the Flash, though they're playing him more Wally West than Barry Allen. It looks like. I don't care. It's fine. It's a new universe. Do what you want to do. All these Henry Cavill. Dude could play a great Superman if he was given the right material. They're just not giving it to him. I feel so bad for these people who honestly signed on and have the acting ability and could have had their careers moved forward and more pushed into the public eye, the same as Robert Downey Jr.'s comeback and Chris Evans and, all the other Chris's and,
Think about this. Think about this. Hugh Jackman made a career on being the Wolverine, and the first good movie is probably coming out with Logan.
Days of Future's Past
and these guys can't sustain this. That's the type of disconnect we're seeing here. Anyways, let's move on.
Yeah.
Enough about this depressing stuff. Let's talk about something that makes everyone's tinglies jingle. It's Kate McKinnon is going to be the teacher in the Magic School Bus. She's going to be Miss Frizzle.
Yeah, as a kid, I forgot a little bit, but I used to have the Magic School Bus books, which then got turned into the cartoon series. I loved that show as a kid. I think that's why I'm in that, plus Bill Nye and Beakman's World, which I watched all 3, are probably why I like science as an adult.
Yeah, I was gonna say that plus Bill Nye was just like,
yeah,
it was the I don't know, the sciencey stuff of the pulp of my life were those 2 shows. And sure, Beakman's a little bit. I didn't watch it as much. But yeah, man, it was so much cooler, and live action Magic School Bus sounds like it could be really interesting.
I wish it's still a cartoon. It's not live action. I wish they do a live action at some point, though. That'd be fun. Although it might look a little silly, and 99% would have to be CG. But still, I like the idea. It's a fun idea. It's a way to get kids interested in those topics in a way that otherwise they might not be. For instance, some of my favorite episodes are when they shrink the bus down. By the way, if anyone doesn't know what Magic School Bus is, this is going to be very confusing for you. They shrink the school bus down and go inside one of the kids' bodies because they're sick or something. That was always so interesting to see the representation of what it actually looks like and how your body works. That was always cool. And then there's the ones where it's more intangible concepts that are hard for kids to understand, and even as an adult might be hard to understand, but they were able to show it in such an interesting way that it made you get it. It's like, you know, when you have a science book as a kid, and maybe there's, like, if they're explaining gravity or something, there'll be a little picture, a graphic or something that uses a metaphor to explain what's going on. It's like that, but in a cartoon, and it works so well. The characters are stupid as fuck. Carlos making bad jokes all the time, but goddammit, if it's not the same kids and Carlos isn't in this, I'm gonna be pissed off. So, yeah, it's Netflix, by the way. That's why I trust that this will be good, because Netflix is the one doing the revival of this.
Right.
So.
It's not Warner Brothers?
It's not Warner Brothers. Dark and gritty Magic School Bus reboot. Tell me, Miss Frizzle, do you bleed?
Kate McKinnon, playing Miss Frizzle, who once was at the top of her game in a Magic School Bus. The Magic School Bus, which was a sentient being for some reason, now addicted to heroin.
I've always thought that the Magic School Bus, well, a silly concept, is the perfect vehicle, Carlos, for bringing science to children and explaining it in an entertaining way. So I'm excited for that. I probably won't watch it extensively because I'm not 6, but I'll check it out just to see and see if I can get some nostalgia going out of it. I'm curious what the animation style is going to be, because I can't imagine the style of the original show is very outdated for cartoons nowadays. You don't see many animated in that style. I'm not an artist, so I can't like put into words, but if you see it, you know what I mean. It looks very 90s.
Anime.
I think I saw a concept art, but I didn't really like the new art style, so I hope it was just fan art or something. It definitely looked more modern. It just, I don't know. Maybe it's because I grew up with the 90s cartoons more, and I have more of that sensibility, but no, because I like Adventure Time and stuff. I like newer cartoons, so I don't know.
Rick and Morty. Anyways.
But seriously, if you have kids or something, you should have them watch Magic School Bus, because it's great. It's on Netflix.
You know something about kids, Hugo? Everyone wants to punch them in the face from time to time. You know who's good at punching people in the face?
Iron Fist?
Iron Fist is.
Wow. Solid segue.
You proud of me?
I never have been. Maybe next time. So the trailer for Iron Fist came out. There was a teaser a couple months back, but this is the first full story trailer that sort of fleshes out what's going on. The plot is essentially Danny Rand, who is the heir to the Rand... I don't know what it's called, actually. I don't know enough about Danny
Rand Enterprises.
Rand Corporation, something like that.
Corporation company. He's Batman with flame fists.
Kind of, or you could say Arrow with flame fists. It's the prodigal son story. But except instead of the dad being like, "Yay, come back," it's another guy. It's like a creepy uncle who's like, "I'm gonna secretly plot to kill you with Madame Gao." Madame Gao's in this, by the way. So
that was not the most clear synopsis of that, but the Flame Fist look cool.
Yeah.
The effect's neat, and it begs the question, is he easily the most powerful of them? Like, I don't know how this power works, obviously I haven't seen any of the show. And also, do the monks he learned from have fucking flame fists?
No, I think what happens, I'm not, again, a lot of these street level heroes I didn't know. Daredevil was the only one I knew extensively about before the show. Jessica Jones, I literally didn't know existed until that show was going to come out. Luke Cage, sure. I was aware of, and Iron Fist I was aware of, but I didn't know that much about them. But I guess Iron Fist, it's sort of like the monks are the, I could be wrong about this, but from what my cursory Wikipedia-ing of this kind of thing is, they're the keepers of this power, and one person, sort of like how Black Panther, the title passes down. There is an Iron Fist, but only one person holds it at a time or something like that. So he is the Iron Fist at the moment. So that's cool. The soundtrack is also supposed to be, I guess, 90s hip-hop and rap and stuff, which is interesting for a kung fu type show. Also, I hope him and Luke Cage bro out over similar music choices. because they become friends, obviously, in the comics and start Heroes for Hire, which I think will be based out of Pop's old barber shop, was implied in Luke Cage. So
yeah, I think so too. There's not really much else to talk about, but it is cool, and I'm looking forward to it. And I don't know the date that it comes out because I am excellent at this job.
It's March something. It's in March. So in March, start looking out for it.
March starts a really, really, really good year of nerd movies, though, dude.
Yes, it does. That, we're going to get Defenders this year. We're going to get, this isn't movies,
Logan.
obviously. We're going to get Logan. We're going to get
Guardians 2.
Guardians 2. Thor. Isn't there one
Wonder
more?
Woman, I suppose.
We'll see how Wonder Woman does.
Well, yeah, but don't we have 2 Netflix series this year?
Punisher, also.
Punisher, yeah. So we should be seeing some Punisher stuff pretty soon. Yeah, no, this is... I'm pretty excited. Oh, also, just Doctor Who in general is going to be on.
Doctor Who comes back in April, by the way. I think that got announced.
And the next thing, Stranger Things.
Yeah, Stranger
Things 2. So the Super Bowl was on, and I know Hugo didn't watch it. I did watch it. It was a fantastic game. Probably the best Super Bowl I've ever seen in my life. And if you don't like sports, don't worry. I'm not going to talk about it much else. But a lot of people that don't watch the Super Bowl like to sit there for the food, but also the commercials, which are usually pretty good. This year had some good commercials, especially the hair one that we're in for 4 years of bad hair. Have you seen that one?
No.
Really good. Oh, yeah. They went right after it. But... so an Eggo waffle commercial from like the 90s or 80s pops up.
Oh, it was 80s.
For just a second. And I got confused. And then it sort of flickers. And if you haven't seen the Stranger Things 2 trailer, you should. Because it's very good. But it leads to a lot of speculation. We knew the second season was coming. I didn't think it was going to come this fast, but it is. It's going to be out this Halloween, I believe.
Well, I think they're doing it fast because they know the kids are, those child actors have an expiration date. They gotta,
Makes sense, and I'm totally fine with that.
Sure.
And being able to see Winona Ryder use the entire range of muscle motion in her face while acting is just like it. Before she dies of neurosis, I have to see as much as I can of Winona Ryder overacting. So this is very cool. But there's a giant spider thing.
It was very, at the end, you see, and Will, by the way, who was missing in the first season, he's not missing anymore, but we saw at the end of season 1, spoilers, if you haven't seen season 1, turn this off right now, go watch season 1.
Oh, yeah, what the fuck are you doing?
Excellent program. It's one of Netflix's best, maybe their best show. It depends on
it's up there with Breaking Bad, honestly.
It depends on how you feel about, like, Marvel shows. If you don't like Marvel shows, then this is easily their best show. So, spoilers. Okay, so at the end of season 1, Will does get returned from the Upside Down, but we saw at the end of season 1, he starts having these flickering moments where he starts perceiving things as if it's the Upside Down.
He was also coughing up like that slug thing.
It looks like, I assume it's like a larval form of whatever the Demogorgon was.
And one more thing, the Netflix thing at the end was flipped upside down.
Yeah, that was funny.
So I'm thinking the Upside Down is sort of... It's going to be even more in your... Because it took, 7 episodes to get to the Upside Down? In the last
5.
season?
I want to say 5.
Are you counting when... Well, not the brief glimpse where that one girl gets killed. I mean, they actually went and visited it. Wasn't it, 7?
Oh, God.
It was, right before the end. Anyways, it took a long time to build up to it. I feel like we're just going to be in it for a while, and I don't think that an actual giant spider thing is going to be attacking the town. I think that's just Will slipping back and forth between the two realms? Dimensions?
I think what's going to happen is, I love the design of the spider. It's very Lovecrafty, and it's, you look at the horizon and there's a thing that's so horrifyingly huge in shadow that you can't even fathom.
I also like that it was out of focus and backlit, so it was there's no details to it, which makes it even worse, because then your mind starts filling in the blanks.
Yes.
That's so perfect.
I'm thinking this is just a guess, at least for Will. I don't know if it will be for everyone, but I think for him, the Upside Down and the real world are going to merge to the point where they're sort of one and the same, and they're going to have to try and figure a way to separate them for him, or alternatively, I don't think this will happen, but this is a potential plot line. If it were a different show, I could see them doing this, but I'm not sure. Him being a connection between the two that is somehow actually forcing the two dimensions to come closer together, and maybe things are starting to slip through. and then they have to deal with that, the kids and the sheriff and Winona fucking crazy Ryder, and and Steve and what's her face, and whatever.
But the better question though is, what's Eleven's role in this scenario? You know what I'm saying? Because she's alive, she's being fed by the detective whose name I'm forgetting all of a sudden, Hopper, and I don't know if she's like a demigorgon now, or if she's just kind of in the Upside Down and can leave, but has to come back because they kind of made a deal with that facility. So there's gonna be, or the government at large. This show is so good. I'm probably gonna watch it again before this comes out. And like even my girlfriend, who's not nearly as she's a nerd, but she doesn't geek out about stuff like Hugo and I do. She was like, holy shit, Stranger Things 2, I'm so excited. So it's not just good nerd television, it's just good television. Really looking forward to it. Also, the Ghostbusters outfits were rad.
How did those kids get such good movie-accurate Ghostbusters costumes in 1986?
They were coming out. It was coming out, man.
But like I couldn't get a costume that good today without spending $200. So
well, I mean, they were selling those Ghostbusters outfits when I was a kid.
But like that good? They like look exactly like the ones from...
I don't remember. Maybe.
I don't know. Anyway,
I mean, it doesn't have to be shit, but they could look pretty cool.
I also think, by the way, I think instead of, Will's back this season, so I assume this season will be maybe at least a side quest, or maybe this will be the main plot. I don't know. Them trying to get 11 back from the Upside Down, and I think that when Will starts flipping back and forth, that's how they will communicate with her, as he will be able to talk to her when he is in the Upside Down, get messages back and forth, yada yada.
What I want to see is maybe they get split up, and there's the Will group and there's the 11 group. And they're kind of like, they split off and they reconverge. Those are good stories.
Sure.
Usually when you can do that. And plus, just all the characters have so much personality that I think 3 and 3 could really carry the show.
Sure. I'd also like, this is just, I don't know, maybe this is too much too soon, but I was kind of hoping this season we wouldn't just get the Upside Down. I'd hope they'd reveal there's yet more layers to reality. Like maybe there's the Sideways, and it's even different than the other two or something,
sure.
But I'd like to see that come in eventually. Maybe not this season, because again, we're only on season 2. I don't want them to, blow these loads too early. I'm such an eloquent speaker.
We're talking about kids right now, bruh.
But still, I'm very excited for the show. The kid actors are great. They've been on lots of talk shows and stuff, and seem like very nice, well-adjusted young people. And hopefully Netflix isn't like the Disney Channel in that they are going to ruin their lives. So.
Yeah, please don't do all the coke, kids.
Yeah. So.
Just let it happen. Also, I have the wallpaper of my phone is the kids from Stranger Things, but in Star Wars regalia. It's a fan art thing. Check that out. That's cool. I like it. Anyways.
So, I guess that's it. Tell us if there's anything else you want to talk about next week. Discuss Doctor Who, Stranger Things, all that stuff in the comments. Until next time. Oh, you can always follow us on Twitter at TheRealUnpop.
Nah, just until next time. Fuck it.
Okay, until next time.
Who needs people to see our other things and to communicate with us off of the YouTube platform?
Until next time, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And this has been Unpopular Culture. Woo, we did it. Let's not lose this episode, Jake. Woo.
All right, I won't. Also, make sure to check out Phosphorico. He's a little druid. He's cute. The link's right there. Look at it. It's episode 1. Let's click on it, man. Just click on it. I worked hard.